Broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. My name is Stephanie Petch, and I am Assistant Director in the Office of Financial Aid on campus in Pierce Hall. Again, thank you for joining us for our final live webinar for the summer. This will be our fourth one that we've done regarding financial aid, answering all your questions. We've been working really hard to keep you up to date on our processes and trying to answer as many questions as possible. And these webinars have given us an opportunity to reach hundreds of students instead of just a handful. So thank you for tuning in and sticking with us. I'd like to take a moment to thank my staff that have joined us today. We have Senior Financial Aid Advisor Jen Janacek, along with our Financial Aid Advising staff, Natalie Lazuka, David Guest, and Andrew Zirkle. And they're going to all be answering your questions on the back end. So the questions that you asked during this webinar will be answered by our financial aid staff, and they're great staff. So I'd like to just thank them again for joining in the fun and not giving me a hassle for saying we were doing another webinar or anything like that. They've all been really excited about participating and having interaction with students. So thanks to them. Also, I have kind of like my partner in crime / moderator, Bill Casidlo. And Bill, if you want to say a few words, you can step in right now.
Yeah, certainly. Hey guys, thanks a lot for joining us. I see people are still popping in as we go through this introductory kind of little thing here, but yeah, I'm kind of like your question moderator for today. As Steph mentioned, we have 4 of our seasoned staff members out in the wings there waiting to answer your questions. We do tend to get a lot of questions during these, and we do our best to try to answer them just in real time while you're attending the webinar. If for whatever reason that your question's a little bit more in depth for what our advisors can answer on hand without pulling up your account and everything, they may refer you to like a future email discussion. So they might get your email address and maybe try to correspond with you that way. Again, I'm going to try to get all of these questions routed out to an advisor for an immediate answer or relatively immediate answer. If for whatever reason you're not answered, it's not because we're ignoring you, it's just because there may be a higher volume of questions coming in that we can handle with our 4 people that are answering. Again, we'll try to get to your question somehow, and Steph's going to be going through the presentation, so if you ask a question that might be part of her presentation, then we just might kind of put that on hold or tell you that the answer is coming up. Just listen to Steph for her content there. But I think that's really about it. Again, if we don't answer your question, it's not us being rude or ignoring or thinking that your question's like not relevant or anything. It's just we're doing the best that we can to help. So right now we've got about 65 attendees coming in, but that's about it. Thanks for joining, by the way. Again, we appreciate you guys participating.
Great, thanks, Bill.
Yeah.
The format for this afternoon will be very much like our other webinars that we've had, that we've hosted. I have about 18 commonly asked questions that students have right before the opening of the school year that we're going to answer just right off the bat. And hopefully that will answer a lot of the questions that you might have outstanding or bring a little bit of calm into this possibly hectic time. But we're going to answer those. And then, like Bill said, any questions that are coming in on the back end, he'll forward to our advisors. And then we're going to answer some live questions, Bill is going to kind of keep an eye on what questions are being asked on the back end. And if there's a pattern, we will definitely address those during the webinar so that, if one person has a question, 2 person, 3 people, then we know it's an issue that needs to be addressed right away. So we'll take care of that right during the webinar. Hopefully we can wrap this up in about an hour, but we will, go as long as we have questions coming in. And as Bill stated, one thing about the questions is that I please ask you to not submit personal questions about your specific account during this webinar. Not that other people can see them. It's just that the advisors don't have time to right now to look up in Banner and give you an answer about, to your question on your specific account. So what I would like, if you have a specific question, contact our office directly, either via phone or email. And I have that information on the very last slide of the presentation that you can write down and contact us that way. We do answer phones 5 days a week, 8 to 5. We also have a callback system where if you choose to have someone give you a call back, they will give you a call back even after 5 o'clock. So if you choose that option, just know that depending on how busy we are that day, Mondays are always our busiest days. So it could take up to 2 hours after 5 o'clock before we actually have a staff member or a representative return your phone call. It just depends on how many students select that option, how many students have called in during the day. But if it isn't a pressing matter, I would definitely wait until like a Tuesday or a Wednesday to give us a call because like I said, Monday is absolutely our busiest days by far. All summer long, it's always been Mondays. So just keep that in mind. We absolutely want to be able to answer your question. So just keep that in mind. It may take a little bit longer on a Monday. And as always, this webinar is being recorded, and we do hope to have it posted to our website soon after the conclusion of this event. So we've got one out there right now, and I think the other two, we're just waiting on approval. Those will probably get out there very soon too. But hopefully this one, because it is pretty time sensitive for the fall semester, hopefully we'll get that up shortly after the conclusion of this webinar. So without further delay, I think, we've got, we'll probably have some people logging in throughout the event, but that's okay. So if you feel you have to leave before the event, feel free. You can always, catch up on the recorded version. Okay, so let me go to our first question.
And go ahead and start asking your questions now, guys. So now, even as Steph is going through her presentation, we're ready for you, okay?
Yep. Okay, first question, and it's one that we get a lot about this time of year. When will my financial aid pay to my account? So the answer to that is tomorrow evening. So if you look at your account tomorrow at 1 o'clock and it's not paid, don't panic. It's probably not going to happen until, around 8 to midnight-ish, somewhere around there. So don't panic if during the day you don't see it. We have, by federal regulation, we can't pay federal financial aid to your account any sooner than 10 days prior to the beginning of the semester, and that is tomorrow. So financial aid will pay to accounts tomorrow evening. Another popular question that we get is, when will I get my refund? So refunds will be available beginning of the afternoon of August 28th on your Hire One card. And remember, you have two options to receive your refund. It can go directly to your Hire One card, or it can go directly into your own existing account. If you choose the Hire One option, you're going to get your refund faster, just because they only have to have one transfer. If you choose your existing bank account, it will take probably 1 to 2 days longer to get your refund. But however long it is, you will get an email from Bank Mobile telling you that you now have funds deposited into your account, and they are secure for you to use. So this begins during the afternoon on August 28th. So again, if you log into your Hire One account at 8 a.m. on August 28th, you may not see the funds there because it's not the afternoon yet. So don't freak out. Don't immediately call. I would say if you don't see anything on the 28th, if you don't get your email from Bank Mobile, then absolutely call. The refunds are handled by Student Business Services. So you'd want to reach out to them, and I think I have their contact information as well on the last slide. Okay, what happens if I add a class after my aid pays? So here's a little, sometimes students get into a tricky situation where we pay aid 10 days prior to the semester, and maybe they add a class that was possibly waitlisted, and that gets added after their financial aid has paid. So really the deal with that is if all of your financial aid has paid, if you look and everything has paid, and then you add a class, you need to be prepared to pay for that additional cost on your own. The only thing, in addition that could pay to your account could possibly be Pell Grant, but it's not a guaranteed. So you need to take a look and see if your aid has paid all of it. And if you got a refund, you can use that refund to pay for the additional class, but you do need to be prepared. If you add a class after all of your aid has paid, you do need to be prepared to pay for that additional cost on your own. Okay, so what happens to my residence award if I stay home? So some students are awarded a residence award, which is an award if you stay in the residence hall, you get an additional scholarship type money. So we know that, some students are electing to stay home for fall semester. And if you have the residence award, it will not pay, clearly. You have to have housing charges on your account for the award to pay towards your account. So if you decide to stay home for fall, the fund will not pay, and basically it gets forfeited for the fall semester. If you come back in the winter and you're in housing, your winter portion only will pay. We will not be moving fall portion into winter or anything like that. It's just going to be your winter portion that pays, and that'll be it. And that's only if you have housing charges on your account. If you decide to stay at home for the whole year, then your award will be forfeited for that year. So if it's a renewable award and this was your second year that you received it, and it's your last year and you decide that you're not staying in the residence hall, that award will not be renewed for next year. Basically, if you don't use it this year, it's forfeited. If it's your first year of the residence award and it's renewable, you can get it for next year if you meet the criteria. But again, it will not be extended an additional year. So we just kind of want to make that a little bit clear. After Housing and Residence Life sent the email out that they sent earlier this month, maybe it was last week, we had a lot of students asking about their residence award if they stay home. So we just want to make sure that that's clear to everyone how that's going to work. Okay, another question that we've been getting a lot is what happens with my housing credit from winter if I do not live on campus? So for those of you that are returning students that were here with us last year, and during the winter term when we shut housing down due to COVID, those students received a credit, and you had two options. You could either receive the credit right then, or you could take the credit and apply it to your next year's statement with an incentive of additional money. Now that you still have the option to stay at home, if you were planning on using that housing credit from the winter term and you're not staying on campus, you really do need to contact Student Business Services. I have the email address right here. It's ebill@emich.edu. Please contact them and try and figure out with them what you need to do. My understanding is that they are allowing students to have the original credit, but I don't think that you will be getting the original credit with the incentive if you choose to take that credit right now. So it's something that you have to contact Student Business Services about to work that out with them. And right now they can only be reached via email at the ebill@emish.edu address. Okay, I've been awarded federal work study. How do I use it? I know last year or in the winter semester, a lot of students were asking in the summer semester about federal work study. Several offices are hiring for the fall semester. They have made, a lot of offices are making arrangements for students to possibly be working from home, you know, like answering their telephone calls, things like that, responding to emails, things like that. So several offices are hiring for the fall semester. So, you know, there's the handshake portal that our Career Development Center uses, student employment, and you can always look there for jobs that, or offices that have jobs posted. But there's also a virtual student employment fair that is on the 25th from 12 to noon that you can join in. More information about that employment fair is available through the portal, Handshake portal. So if you're not familiar with the Handshake portal, what I would probably do is a couple things. You can go to the emish.edu website, and in the search bar, you can put in Handshake portal, or you can put in student employment, and that will pretty much take you to the UACDC website, where you can be directed to the career, the right part of UACDC for student employment. So, but the Handshake portal is like an employment site. So offices post their jobs out on this portal, and students can apply and show their interest in the position, you know, through the website. Also, not every office posts jobs out in Handshake portal. I know a lot of them do, but if there's a specific office that you are interested in working in, it might be helpful just to go ahead and reach out to that office directly by either calling them or sending them an email and asking if they're hiring. So just keep that in mind when you're looking for a work study job. The main thing to remember is that it is your responsibility to find a job to use those work study funds. The Office of Financial Aid will not find a job for you. And with work study funds, it's a use it or lose it type of funding. So if you don't get a job and you don't work, if you don't start earning, the award will be taken away from you. So just keep that in mind. If you have more questions about work study, by all means, contact our office. Will there be CARES Act funding in the fall semester? Yes, the university already announced that we will have funding for the fall and winter semester from our CARES Act, the portion of the CARES Act that set aside a certain amount of money for the schools. So we still plan on having, sticking on plan with that. I think the website states that we plan to pay it to students in October. It is my understanding that we will be using the same criteria that we used for the winter semester in determining who is eligible for the funds. So keep that in mind. And I also want to point out that the CARES Act funding is different from the EMU CARES grant. The EMU CARES grant was a summer-only grant that came out of a different funding source than this CARES Act funding. So the EMU CARES grant will not, to my knowledge, be repeated for an additional semester or anything like that. It was a one-time grant for the summer semester, and it's my understanding we don't plan to do that again. However, the CARES Act funding will be available for the fall and winter semesters. Could you give us an update on the Game Above Award? Certainly. We have found out a little bit more information about the Game Above Award from our last webinar. This award is for new first-time freshmen only. So sorry for all of our returning students. it's from Game Above. They set the criteria. Sorry about that. I know several students might feel jilted because they're not eligible. That is not a decision of the financial aid office or the university. That it is a decision from the Game Above group. So we can't do anything to change that. But just note that this is for new first-time freshmen only. The award is $400, and it will be distributed through Student Business Services. It will not go through the Office of Financial Aid. We will not have to adjust financial aid for this $400 award, and it will be applied after the 100% drop deadline. So we'll talk about the 100% drop deadline in a slide here, probably in the next couple slides, but it will not be paid prior to the semester beginning or the first week of class or anything like that. It will be paid after the 100% drop deadline. And as we've said in every webinar that we've talked to about the Game Above Award, a special thanks to that group. What the amount of money that they've donated to our students is awesome, and we thank them for thinking of our students and the ones that they've assisted. I know have really appreciated it. So thanks to Game Above. Okay, back to housing. My housing plans have changed. Who do I tell? So Housing and Residence Life sent out an email to students on August 13th. And in this email, it specifically tells students what they need to do if they plan on canceling, if they want to cancel their housing. So you email housing from your EMISH address, and in the subject line, you say cancel housing. In the body, you include your name, student ID, and the reason you're canceling. They specifically said in this email that it doesn't have to be long. It doesn't have to be a long reason. If you're choosing to stay home due to the virus that's going around, that's pretty much what you have to say. So if you are choosing to stay at home and you've already had housing plans, you do need to contact housing, not financial aid, contact housing. They have said, I think they also said in the email that your housing prepayment fee, I believe it's $200, will be credited to your fall tuition charges. If you are in housing and you haven't looked at your EMISH account or your EMISH email addresses lately, please look for that. Look for the email that they sent on August 13th and take whatever action you need to take. Now, if you want to add housing, which they don't address that in this email, but my suggestion to you would be to contact the same email address, housing@emish.edu. And in the subject line, I would just simply say add housing, and then in the body of your email, just explain to housing, let them know that you would like to add housing, and you can have that conversation with them. I'm not sure, I don't know what their plan is for students who want to add housing right now, so it's just best to contact them. And again, it's housing@emish.edu. Can I get help in person? Yes. Finally, I can say yes, you can get help in person if you want to talk to someone face to face. However, you can't do it until August 26th, but it's okay, that's coming up soon. So Service EMU will be opening for face-to-face service on August 26th from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. They will be open in the Student Center. Please note that there are only certain entrances that you can get into and leave from the Student Center. So just keep that in mind if you do come for in-person service. Also keep in mind that because you will be on university property, you have to follow proper protocol, and masks will be required for service. If you've not kept up on any of the emails that President Smith has been sending out about the campus updates and the Stay Safe plan, please take a moment to kind of go over that. The information is available right on our homepage. Before coming to campus, just make sure you look over that information and take the pledge to stay safe when you are choosing to come to campus. If you want to do a hashtag EMU safe, you can probably find that on Twitter and various social media outlets that will kind of direct you to where you need to go. But the important thing is that Service EMU and face-to-face help will be available beginning August 26th, and we are super excited to be able to, finally get to see students. Our Service EMU staff has been working hard to make sure that their office is, they've been working hard with the university to make sure that their office is ready for students. And we're really excited to be able to start seeing students again. Please note that from August 31st, which is the first day of class, to September 3rd, so that's like that first week, Monday through Thursday, Service EMU will be open from 9 to 6 on that Monday through Thursday. So we've extended an additional hour to our face-to-face service hours. But then on the Friday, we will be back to 9 to 5. And the 9 to 5 will be our hours for the rest of the semester. And that is a change from last year, from forever. We've always been 8 to 5. We are now going from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. And of course, yes, they still do have the box where you can drop checks off. Everything that Service EMU used to be able to offer that we offered last year is going to be the same this year. So keep that in mind. But we are super excited that the office is opening up very soon. Okay, so what happens if I drop my class after the aid pays? Total opposite question of the other one. What happens if I add? So if you drop your class after aid pays to your account, Student Business Services will process refunds if it creates a credit balance after the 100% drop period. And the reason for this is that in probably about 98% of the cases when students, and I just kind of threw that 98%. Okay, it's a lot. In a lot of the cases where students drop a class, they end up adding a class, whether it's, if it's not the same day, it's the next day or within 2 to 3 days. So it really isn't fair if we have a credit balance and we process it within a day or two and you get a refund and then you add another class and now you owe another balance to the university. We found that was happening in a lot of the cases. And several years ago, Student Business Services changed the process to where we will refund after the 100% drop period, or they will refund. Now, if you have any questions about that process or any concerns, you can absolutely contact Student Business Services at ebill@emich.edu, and they can help answer. Bill, is there anything that we need to address right now from the list of questions coming in?
Yeah, Steph, I know that you are probably going to be getting into this, but we've had several questions, and I just want people to know that I didn't forget their question, but several questions came in about where do I enter direct deposit information to receive my refund? Basically, how do they set up their refund preference? I know you have a slide that's coming up on that.
Yeah.
There's another student that also asked about what is the Hire One card. It's the first I've heard about this. I just sent you a link to give you more information on that, but Steph will also come up or maybe talk a little bit about the Eagle One card in her next couple of slides. Other than that, there was one more I wanted to bring up. Someone asked about scholarship checks. I know that's coming up.
Look at that.
Yay!
Next slide.
It's the next one, right? That's why I didn't want to steal your thunder stuff, but I do want people. I do want people to know that we're getting to that. Just hang in there. hold on 1 second. I got some more coming in. Some more Game Above Award, CARES Act, Michigan funding stuff. I know you kind of covered that. But I think that's it for now, Steph. I'll
Okay.
come out, I'll mention the other ones once you finish the rest of your stuff.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks, Bill. Okay, so the next question hopefully will address the scholarship concerns that people have, scholarship check concerns. What do I do with the scholarship check that I have? So for right now, if you don't want to come to campus on the 26th or later, for right now, your only option really is to mail it to the university. We have been getting mail I think a couple times a week. We have a staff member go in and pick up mail from the mail room and then bring it to our office to process. So we have been processing a ton of scholarship checks that have been mailed to our university. Here's the address, the Office of Financial Aid, 403 Pierce Hall. I was reading this and I lost my train of thought. Oh, beginning when Service EMU opens up, you can also bring that check into Service EMU. So that if you're not comfortable mailing it and you're comfortable coming onto campus prior to the start of school, or even once school starts, if you do have an on-campus class, you can stop by Service EMU and drop that check off to them. So you have right now 2 ways to do it. You can either mail it in, or beginning on the 26th, you can bring it into Service EMU. And just a side note that we do have to take outside scholarships into consideration when we award financial aid. So if you've already been packaged with financial aid and you bring this scholarship check into us, and it is possible that we would have to do adjustments on your financial aid award once we get this check. We try our hardest to, if we have to reduce something, to reduce a loan. But it all depends on the rules of the scholarship from the agency and the other type of financial aid that you've already been offered. So just keep that in mind. By all means, don't not bring the check in or bring it to us or mail it to us because obviously, it is a scholarship. You do want to use that check. Usually checks have a stale date, so don't keep it too long. And we can take care of it. But it just so that you know, outside scholarship checks do have to be taken into consideration with the other financial aid that you've already been awarded.
Hey, Steph, I just got an instant message from one Jennifer Chmewin, and I don't know if she's listening in as an observer, but she says mail is picked up 1 time a week. Oh. Scholarship checks taking up to 2 weeks.
Yes, and for those of you that may not know who Jennifer Tremewin is, she is our other assistant director. She's another assistant director in the Office of Financial Aid, and I think she is listening in. Next time, maybe we'll recruit her to answer questions. Just kidding. But yes, so she just corrected me. So our mail is picked up once a week, and because we have been getting so many scholarship checks, it is taking a couple weeks to process them, but by all means, either bring it in or mail it so that we can get it processed, as soon as possible. Thanks, Jen. And thanks, Bill. Okay, question is the next one. What do I do with my student ID? Okay, so I've called it a couple different things. So a Hire One card and an Eagle ID, those are actually one of the same. So someone asked about what is this Hire One card? It is actually your student ID. So it also looks like a credit card. It is not a credit card, but it does usually have your student picture, your picture on it. You use it to get into the residence halls, the Rec IM, dining services. You use it, so it's a swipe card, and if you have not received it yet, you probably will want to reach out to the Eagle One card office. I think I have their email address in the presentation, but if not, I'll just make sure. I believe it's EMU Eagle One at emich.edu, and it's the Eagle card office, and they're in charge of student IDs. So there are some students, new students, who hadn't set up their student ID yet, like they didn't send in a picture to put on the ID. I believe Student Business Services, or the Eagle One card office, was in the process of sending all those students basically a generic student ID card. Once you get that, you will need to activate it. It says it right in the directions that you have to activate it. While you're activating it, you can select your refund preferences at that time. So on the back of the card, there is the the web address that you have to go to activate your card. You're going to put your card number in, set up your account, you activate it, and then one of the tabs is called refund preference. You can either choose to have your refunds placed directly on your Hire One / student ID card, and you can use that as a debit card, because I think it does have like a Visa or MasterCard logo on it. So you can use it that way, or you can select to have your refund placed into an existing checking or savings account, and it will walk you through those steps. But your first step when you get your student ID or your Hire One card is to activate it. So follow the directions that are in the envelope. And if you've received your student ID and you have not activated it yet, please do that as soon as possible. Make sure, even if you are not coming to campus this semester, make sure that you keep your student ID, keep it in a safe place, don't lose it, because if they have to issue you another one, there is an additional charge for it. So when you activate your student ID, you select your refund preference. So those continuing students who may be on the webinar, your refund preference does not change unless you change it. So however you had your refund preference set up last year or the year before, it's going to stay that way until you actually go in and change it.
Okay. Yeah, Steph, while we're still on this, it seems like we're getting a lot of Eagle One card questions while you were going over that content. One student was asking, do they need one if they're not going to be on campus? I think you kind of nailed it when you said, yeah, you do have to have one ultimately, even when you're on campus, but even distance learners are expected to have an Eagle One card. And again, that's how you set up your refund preference. That's how that also gets you you also need it for other things. So I would definitely get it whether you're a remote learner, on campus, off campus, or whatever.
Yes.
And then the direct site, I know we were trying to give that link out. It's actually emich.edu/SBS/Eagle One. I tried to send that to everybody in this webinar, but I don't think I did that successfully. But but they have a lot of information. It has how you activate your card, how you submit an online photo, all of that stuff. It also mentions how to do set up your refund and all that stuff. So
perfect.
There were a lot of questions coming in about that. I just wanted to kind of piggyback on what you were saying.
Yeah, no problem. I'm glad that you stepped in on that. The student ID is not handled through the Office of Financial Aid, but it does have, we are affected by it because that's how students receive their refunds. So while we don't know the answer to every question that students have regarding their student ID, at least we can direct you to where you need to go. And the Eagle Card office is a branch of Student Business Services. So if you didn't get the link and you didn't write down what Bill had just said with the backward / or whatever it was, if you go to the Student Business Services website through emich.edu, Eagle Card, you can get to the Eagle Card branch through their website. So, and that will list their email address, and probably answer most of the questions that you have. Okay, another big question that we get, particularly from freshmen or first-time students, either first-time transfers or first-time freshmen. Those continuing students kind of know how this textbook thing works, but particularly right now, it's probably a little confusing to new students at Eastern. But how do I get my textbooks? So right now, I mean, the university has a bookstore, but you can order books online through various vendors. If you find your book cheaper through Amazon, you're more than welcome to order through Amazon. And that'll be you doing the footwork. I did check on the bookstore in the student center. I went to their website to just kind of do a little research, and they are taking orders right now for the fall semester. So if you know your classes that you are enrolled in, they can, I assume what they will probably do is get your order ready, pack it up, and then have it waiting for you to pick up. And then, I don't know if you can pay online or if you have to pay when you get there. But just know for freshmen or any new students, you can purchase right now, really, I mean, the books, I don't know what the hours of the bookstore are. So before you come to campus thinking that you can just go into the bookstore and purchase your books, please look online through their website.
Hey,
go ahead.
Hey, Steph, I'm sorry. I just wanted to throw in there that the university bookstore will have a separate room for online order pickups. That will be room 204 in the student center.
Okay, look at that.
That's little birdie told me that. Her name is Jennifer Trevor.
Oh,
sorry.
Okay, that's great. No, that's awesome. But I do want you to encourage students, if you plan on coming to campus, if you don't pre-order your books, make sure you look that information up to make sure the bookstore is going to be open and what their hours are. Now, if you plan on using your refund to purchase your textbooks, it is absolutely so important that you actually make sure that you're getting a refund. Do not assume that you are getting a refund and you'll be using that refund to pay for your classes. What you need to do right now is take a look at your bill, go into the eBill website, look at your charges, look at your financial aid that is ready to pay to your account right now. If you have a negative balance at that point, then yes, you probably are going to be getting a refund. But if it's still a positive number, that means you are not getting a refund. So you have to make sure that you are 100% getting a refund if that's how you plan on paying for your books. We typically encourage freshmen and new students to plan on paying for books out of pocket for your first semester, just because we never know. There could be a delay in your refund. Maybe you don't have your refund preferences set up properly, and we don't want you to get behind in classes because you haven't purchased your books yet. Once aid pays this weekend, you'll be able to see if you're going to be getting a refund. So after aid pays tomorrow evening, like Saturday, if you go in there to your eBill and you see that you have a negative balance, well, okay, you could use that refund to purchase your books. But please, please, please make sure that you are actually getting a refund before you decide that's how you're going to pay for your books. If you are not getting a refund, you need to be prepared to pay for your books out of pocket. Okay, so what if my aid doesn't pay on the 21st? If it does not pay on the 21st, something is wrong. So then you have to troubleshoot. So the most typical issues for freshmen, for first-time freshmen, did you have your final high school transcript sent to EMU? If you did not do that through parchment or whatever means, your aid will not pay. This means that If you were planning on a refund, that's not going to happen right now because we don't have your final high school transcript. For first-time loan borrowers, did you complete your entrance and master promissory note, entrance counseling and master promissory note? These are little things that hold students up that will prevent aid from paying. So make sure that you've got all of those things taken care of. And like I said, if you go to your eBill account and you have a balance and you have aid that is authorized, it will list like your account balance, authorized aid. That authorized aid means this amount of aid is ready to pay to your account. If we paid today, this amount of aid would pay. So if you've got an amount in there that you think seems right, then it seems like everything is probably okay on your account. But if for some reason your aid does not pay tomorrow night, you did everything that you think is required. You have your verification docs in, you have a FAFSA in, you're not a satisfactory academic progress issue, so you're meeting SAP. If you can't figure it out, call our office or visit Service EMU or send us an email, and we'll look into it. But if your aid does not pay tomorrow night, something is wrong, and you want to take a look and make sure that we can get it fixed as soon as possible. Okay, I think we're getting close to the end. The question that we get a lot is, why won't you talk to my parents or guardians? Once you are registered for classes, you, the student, fall under federal privacy guidelines. So for us to be able to talk to a parent or guardian or aunt or uncle or husband, we have to have what we call a Ferpa form on file. This gives us a release. This is a release that you have to sign that basically allows us to talk to certain people. That Ferpa form is found on Records and Registration's website under Forms and Resources, and then it's called the Authorization to Release Information, and then in parentheses it says FERPA. So if your parent calls in and we don't have this FERPA form on file, we will not be able to give them any information about your account until you give us that release. So, and it's just because you fall under federal privacy guidelines. Once you're a registered student at our university, it's a rule we have to follow. So, oh, maybe I'm getting close here. When will my award from the state of Michigan show on my account? Sometimes the state of Michigan awards, we don't put those on students' accounts until the state has finalized their budget and they have told us what the actual award amounts will be. We don't like putting estimates or basing anything off of last year's award because it could be different, and we don't want you, if the award is lower than what we've estimated, you've kind of banked on that amount coming in. But so we won't put that on students' accounts until the state of Michigan budget has been finalized and we've been notified from the state how much those awards will be. So like Michigan Competitive Award, we won't have that until the state notifies us. In some years, it has been as late as November. I don't know what it's going to be this year. I would say if you are counting on some money from like the Michigan Competitive Scholarship or something, or another fund. Bill, what other awards fall under this
state of Michigan?
That with the whole budget, waiting for their budget to be approved.
Oh, did you say TIP and Michigan Competitive?
No, I just said Michigan Competitive. Okay, so TIP too.
Yeah, I would say, I think TIP's the same way. Those are the ones that come to mind. Sorry, I'm not always like listening. I've got these
That's okay.
questions going on already.
Yeah, it's just another day. Yeah. You barely listen.
I know.
Just joking. Just
Hey,
joking.
I'm gonna sabotage this thing most.
But so again, we're not going to put those awards on your account until we are notified from the state how much they will be. So it, sorry if you're waiting on that to pay your account. We just don't want to pay an amount and have it be the wrong amount and then have you owe us money back. So keep that in mind. If you have questions about the award, you can always email us and we will forward it to our proper staff member in the office that handles the state of Michigan awards. Okay.
Fostering futures. That was another one that I was thinking of too, Steph.
Okay. Thanks.
Sorry.
Okay. So earlier, I know, earlier we talked a little bit about 100% drop deadline. Now I want to talk a little bit about census date because those two dates coincide with each other. Census date is a date that our office uses as what we call a lock date. So we look at the number of credit hours you are enrolled in on census date, and we kind of lock it right there. It doesn't prevent you from registering for more credit hours or dropping classes, but for federal financial aid purposes, we lock your enrollment on that date, which is September 10th, 2020. And if you are enrolled in 6 hours on census date, the Pell Grant is only going to pay at 6 hours. If September 11th, you add an additional class, that's 3 credit hours, and that bumps you up to 9 credit hours, which would be an increase of Pell Grant. If you do that after census date, your Pell Grant will not increase. You have to have your schedule basically set and ready on September 10th. So if you're waiting for overrides to get into a class, or if you've done your part, but the department hasn't put your information in a computer yet, this all has to be done by September or after business day, end of business day, September 10th of 2020. Anything that happens September 11th, even if it's just because it's a day late, sorry, this is a federal guideline that we follow. So we do it for every student that receives Pell, SEOG, University Grant, Michigan Competitive, and Teach. So basically it's a lock date. Like I already said, if you increase after census, your Pell will not increase. If you decrease credit hours, as long as you've attended at least one session of the course, the Pell will not decrease. So I just want to go into an example of this. If September 11th, you decide to withdraw from a course, and it actually is considered a withdraw at that point, I do believe. So you're paying 100% for the course. But if you decide to withdraw from the course on September 11th, and it is already started, and you attended at least one session of that course, we're not going to decrease your Pell Grant. However, if you drop a class, a late start class on September 11th, maybe a class that starts in October, if you take that off of your schedule on September 11th, we will reduce the Pell Grant because you have not attended that class yet, and Pell Grant can only pay towards the classes that you've attended at least one time. So if you drop a late start course, we will have to adjust Pell Grant, the additional awards, based on that new information. Also, I said census date and the 100% drop deadline are actually the same day. So if you are registered for 12 credit hours and September 9th, you decide, yeah, this just isn't working for me, you do have till September 10th to drop all of your classes and get a 100% refund on your classes minus the registration fee. You have up until September 10th to do that. So that's what's the 100% drop deadline. And that's for most of your normal term classes. So your 12-week classes, full term classes. If you are in a class that is a shortened term, so it starts in September, ends in October, the deadline is going to be a little different for those. And you'll want to check with records and registration before you drop those classes. And I just want to also kind of talk a little bit right here about the difference between a drop and a withdraw. A drop, the class comes off of your record 100%. It's like you were never registered for it. That's a drop. A withdraw stays on your record with a W grade. So it still shows that you registered for the class and you have a W, and that will show up on your transcript, your grade report. So a drop gets rid of the class completely, and you only have a certain amount of time to get rid of classes completely. And a withdraw, it shows up on your account still. So if you have additional questions about the census date or the 100% drop date, just go ahead and send us an email, stop by Service EMU, or give us a call. Okay, so what if I decided to take this semester off? Again, you have to notify the university. If you're enrolled in classes, you have to let us know. If you're a new student, I would notify the admissions office, let them know you're not attending. If you have housing, contact the housing department as well. Let them know that you will not be attending the university. Classes and housing do not just disappear because a student doesn't show up. Once you register for classes, if you don't notify the university that you're not attending, they still stay on your account. We don't drop students for non-payment, so you'll still be responsible for the charges even if you don't show up, and you'll be prevented from registering for a future term. So also students, keep that in mind that if you are trying to figure out how to pay for your semester and you still have a bill, you can still attend classes. You can still live in the residence halls, even if you owe a bill to the university. We're not dropping you from anything. If you still owe a bill when it comes time to register, you will be prevented from registering with if you have a balance. So you'll have to take care of that balance before we register. And these are just final reminders, and Bill, you can step in with any questions that need to be addressed right now. But just final reminders to everyone: check your EMISH email account, follow the directions on any email that you've received, complete steps, review housing deadlines, submit transcripts, and if you haven't set up the Duo authentication, make sure you do that as well. Bill, what do you have here? And here is just our contact information for financial aid, scholarships, loans, our telephone number, and then just the generic e-bill, SBS email address. And even if you have Hire One questions or student ID questions, you can still email that ebill@emish.edu. Okay, now I'm done talking, Bill. What about you?
All right. I think you pretty much addressed everything that we got. And again, I'd just like to commend all the students who participated today. It's nice to see like everyone who kind of hung in there throughout the duration of the thing. Not too many people dropped out. So, and if you did, no big deal. I know we're busy people, but there were some fantastic questions that came in. One thing I wanted to ask you, Steph, I wasn't sure. Did you mention the special circumstance appeal?
No.
Okay. You want me to go ahead on that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Let you catch your breath a little bit. Basically, students, we understand that like due to COVID-19, you or perhaps your parent, perhaps one parent, perhaps both parents may have lost their job due to COVID-19. We know that that's a thing. In fact, we realize that is a very big likelihood for a lot of our students. So there is a process called a special circumstance appeal. That is, we can reconsider your expected family contribution or recalculate your financial aid based on any of these loss of income scenarios that may arise. So there's information on how to do that on our website. And the best way to do that is to go to emish.edu, emish.edu/finaid.
There, sorry.
And you go to the forms directory, and if you navigate to special circumstance appeal, then it has like a checklist of things that you can submit to be considered for that. And that basically would mean you and your family submitting a detailed letter explaining what the situation is. My dad was laid off due to the COVID crisis. My mom is temporarily on unemployment while she's working from home, or whatever the case may be. Or if you lost your job as a part-time worker while going to school, we can consider that. So we might ask for like pay stubs, tax return documents, W-2s, and things of that nature. So basically, in a nutshell, without getting too wordy, too late, I know, there is a process in place for us to reconsider special circumstances. And it's a big thing, especially this year with everything going on.
Yes.
So
Good
there's
job.
my little spiel on that. But other than that, I think that about covers everything.
Okay, I do just want to reiterate that if you do have outstanding questions, or you think of a question, after this webinar, please feel free to reach out to us. Our email address is right there. Again, we answer phones Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. We have a callback option, which you are guaranteed to get a callback if you choose that option. It may be after 5 o'clock, so just keep that in mind. And then also Service EMU opens up next week, the 26th, from 9 to 5 that week. So just make sure that if you are coming to campus, review the proper protocol, make sure you have a mask on, and make sure you're following the signs in the Student Center building. There are directional signs. If you haven't seen anything on campus, there are directional signs. In most of the buildings, you can only use a few doors to come in. You do have to be prepared to get your temperature checked, I do believe. And there are only certain stairs that you can go up and down in buildings. So just keep those things in mind and be patient with everyone while we, work through that whole directional issue that things that we've got going on campus. But again, any questions, please feel free to reach out to us. We want to make sure as many students have financial aid pay as possible before the term begins. So make sure you're looking at your account tomorrow. Actually, just do it Saturday morning. If something doesn't look right, you'll have to reach out to us. If you reach out to us on Monday, just know that there will be a possible long wait. But if you're patient with us, just know that there will probably be a bunch of people calling in on Monday. So I think that's all I have. And again, go ahead, Bill.
Yeah, one more thing, Steph. There was a student, and I can't find it in my long list of things here. That's my management of information here, but there was a student who was asking if this was being recorded and if it'll be available to basically refer to at a later date.
Yeah, so it is being recorded, and once we end this recording, we are going to work really hard on getting it up on our website within the next few days. I think we have to download it to YouTube, and then get it posted on our website. So we do plan on having it posted. There is also another one out there on our homepage. You'll be able to find it, the links on our homepage, emish.edu/finaid. I think they're right on our homepage that you can find the links. So yeah, we'll get it up there hopefully soon.
And then there was this one more thing. There was a student who joined like kind of late in the game. She had a doctor's appointment and didn't know about this particular webinar, but she was asking if there would be another one. I believe this is the last one for the season, at least for leading up to the start of the fall semester. So, but again, it'll be recorded and available for you to refer back to in case you missed it.
Yes, I do agree. This will be the last one for the summer. But we will try and get all of the other webinars posted on our website so this student can kind of catch up with everything that maybe they've missed over the last I don't know, 6 months. But yes, so this will be the last one this summer. Not saying we won't do any more webinars in the future, but this will be the last one this summer. Okay. Okay, well, thanks everyone for sticking with us. I hope you found the information valuable. And if at the very least, now you know how to get in touch with us through email, phone, service EMU. But you know, we hope that this was a service to you. And again, we are excited for the semester to start. We're excited for Service EMU to open, and we can't wait to see all of you. Until then, take care, follow proper protocol, and hopefully we will see you soon.
Bye.
Okay, I have to, okay.